And we learn. Every person has so much to give and to offer when you just treat them with respect and just allow them to express who they are, what they want openly, without them having to think that they have to give you talking points in order to be accepted, or to be in the right side of history, or the right moral position.
I hate Donald Trump. Really? That's not what the rap lyric said when he wasn't president.
Right. Yeah, well, yeah.
Imagine getting in a fight over who you voted for. That's what the last 3 years have been very testing on everybody. A lot of it seems like theater.
Yeah, but
Now, where the
exactly. Being pro or anti shouldn't be the way that you define yourself. Again, like I was saying, separating the public political arena and conversations that people have, and that they perform, right? So like the entertainment, and then your private realm, where like this doesn't really, at the end of the day, have to affect me in the way that they are making it seem that it does. I mean, public policy does affect you downstream, and ultimately does have impacts, but how much of what Trump did is different than what Biden is doing now or continue to do? How different was Bill Clinton from George Bush and Obama? It's just like a sort of parade of people creating policies and a political context that is contested, but contested to a very small minority of people that benefit, and at the margins, we, the little people, sometimes gain or don't gain. But if we focus on that without trying to live our lives and create our lives and build relationships and build ourselves, then it's not going to matter.
Absolutely. One of the craziest things that happened over the last couple of years is how people, whether you like Trump or you hate Trump, I don't know why you would hate Trump and then love somebody else. Okay, this guy is bad, but this guy is great. The fact that people felt so good about getting you to hate someone else, another human being, when everybody's against something, that's when I'm like, well, when do they usually push something that's good for you? Now, we all know that you're drinking water, water's good for you. When has someone said, oh, drink water? No, you know it's good for you. But they say drink flavored water because it's a brand. So it gets you to thinking, all right, well,
Yeah.
Trump is a person that a lot of people love. Trump is a person that a lot of people, maybe if you were doing business against him back in the 80s, you didn't like. But the things that you were saying that were bothering you about this man when he was president, it wasn't an issue when you were looking up to him. So that's
Yeah.
where the disingenuous comes. Oh, I can't talk to you anymore. I can't. Oh. When I was watching that, I knew people who
Control,
I
yeah.
can't.
But
They stopped talking to family members.
yeah, I want to support something that you said, which is like in hip hop in the 80s, 90s, like Trump used to get name dropped all the time as this sort of like epitome of
Figure to be. You want to
success.
attempt to
Yeah,
be like him. One of my favorite videos was the On Our Own by Bobby Brown, and he's coming out of a building and he looks up at Bobby
sure.
Brown dancing on his building. But now, if you want to, you got to be quiet. So you have to tell. Do you want a truthful society? Do you want me to lie? Like if you ask your girlfriend,
And we also
said,
got
"Do
to
you?"
understand that the sort of campaign that Donald Trump was running was created in a way that they knew would be controversial. The rhetoric was incendiary, but they were doing all of this by design. It wasn't something that if he decided to do something differently, that he wouldn't be opposed to doing different things in order to win, right? So politicians just follow a particular game plan because they've decided through research, through Cambridge Analytica, and the Democrats do it too, that there are certain things that they're going to play up because they think that's going to get a particular base to vote for them and win. They're just going. They literally just want to win. They're narcissists, all of them, right? Politicians that want to win, and then there are machines behind them, right? Like the lobbyists, the bureaucrats, the technocrats, the public policy wonks. They all work together to then do the things that the government does, right? But the person in the front is just basically a puppet. They're just the face of a campaign that has been studied and implemented in order to get a particular group of influential, powerful people to have the levers of power for those 4 years.
Okay.
But Trump is just the front face. Bernie Sanders is just the front face. Obama, Hillary, and none of these people are people that we should look up to, because if you are a politician and you get to that level, it demonstrates you are open to being sold.
If you're gonna bring somebody down like they were doing with Trump, and I hate to, because I sound like his lawyer right now, but I just don't like when people pick somebody, selectively select somebody. This is a person we're going to hate altogether, because I forgot what song it was. It was an alternative song. When they knock somebody down, you have to look who they ascend. Now, if you're going to keep the rage for somebody who, personally, I didn't know a lot about his life. I didn't read his book, The Art of the Deal, and he had another book and a TV show. You tell me, look over here and hate. If someone can control your hate, they can control most of the things that you do. Be mad over here. Over the last couple of years, snap, be mad over here. Jump over here. Because you look like this, you got to jump. Be angry over here. Oh, somebody got angry and shot somebody who looks like you, be mad over here. But they never question. Next generation is being sold for rap lyrics, destructive lyrics, drug lyrics, promiscuous, provocative dancing. And that's never said, you know what, we should hate that. With the same kind of vigor, with the same kind of rancor that they do for a politician, a man who's 70-something years old. If anything, I think more young people should run for office, because we know how to talk about it, but we don't put ourselves out there because we don't think we'll get anywhere, because it's all BS. I mean, even if they give you just a free parking spot, being mayor of Philadelphia, not fix anything. But if you have to, your focus on here. Don't look at this, look at this. For a few years there, they had signs that said racist free zone. A lot of neighbors had signs that say Black Lives Matter, racist free zones, free this country that has yellow and blue flags. And I'm okay. I'm a good person, because they didn't want to rock them through the window. They wanted you to think that they're good people. Well, don't trust us because we have this. Trust us because we have this skin color. But don't trust them. They have another skin color. I mean, the same skin color, but they think differently. And in the 80s, it wasn't like that. If you look at the movies, they made fun of everybody. I'm saying I want to go back, but I'm saying people got a little too tense. People got humorless. See, one of the things I realized today, I played basketball with 4 people, and we all came from different places and different economic backgrounds. That's the one good thing that sports is able to do. It takes people who don't necessarily share a background and put them together. We're going to fight this thing called inequality. You have to be able to play with that person and then realize, you know how many people went to university and like, yeah, I'm playing football with who? This guy who looks like this, I'm playing football with him. Then you realize, wow, we got a lot in common. Hey, he's all right. Mm-hmm. And when you're in the battle, even if you fight, by the time that fight is over, we're friends. And you have to think about, why don't people want us to be friends? Even if you share the same color, why? But this is not bad. Mm-hmm. Who's this Sexy Red, right? Sexy Red is a new female rapper that
Ice Spice
just leaked the SEX tape on Instagram yesterday. And that's what the kids are seeing. In the 80s, we had to wait until midnight to see that. And then we didn't even see anything. We just scrambled on the TV.
You have to go like this.
You have to go like this to see it, or get the decoder that nobody owned to unscramble certain pay-per-view channels, watch wrestling events and things like that. But you take away this and you replace with what you want to see. So now when you approach somebody in the street, you approach them how you expect they should act, instead of them as an individual. I'm sure people, how many times don't you step into a taxi or an Uber? Rap station, black guy, rap station, even if it's 4 a.m. They don't ever say, you know what, have you read this book? You can program somebody out of success.
Yeah, and it seems like what you're saying is we've made a lot of shibboleths, like signals and symbols of membership into a particular tribe or group. And if you don't give us that sign, we're gonna completely ignore you and think of you as an enemy, instead of allowing every single individual the opportunity to prove themselves as someone that could be trusted, or someone that you could just have a conversation with, even if ultimately you are completely different. Even if they are a Republican from Tennessee, you should have the fortitude in your own commitments and principles and ideas to allow them the platform and the ability to express themselves, and not even perhaps even have a conversation about politics. It could just be like, hey, man, what do you enjoy? Like, where are you from? Like, what's your life like? What was your childhood like? How have you grown as a person? How have you grown as a woman? What have been some changes? Why do you still believe in this particular person or in this particular thing? And then go to sleep peacefully, knowing that that's okay. People are going to be different. I don't have to try to impose what I think is correct thought.
What you believe in, yes. You ever look at the C-SPAN when they take votes all the Republicans vote one way and all the Republicans vote the other. Like, what is that?
Yeah.
In an honest place, there'll be some place in the middle.
Next question. Are you religious?
Religious in the things that are important for me to keep my life going. My experience with religion started from when I was small. They take you to church. And that's basic question. I mean, basic answer a lot of people give. When I was small, I was raised this, I was raised that. And I just knew the idea of God, and I was following what my parents or my mother and the people living in the household believed, which was always in church. We had Bibles everywhere. We had fans, abanicos everywhere from church, and the hymnals, tambourines that we weren't allowed to play because they were only supposed to make the Lord's music. But you have an idea of it, you don't know what it is, so you give it an idea, you give it a voice, you give it, God to me means this, God to me sounds like this, and it means that. You're able to close your eyes, you're able to pray. And my earliest experience with prayer, I think there was a girl who I liked in first grade class. I think it was.
Please,
Jenny
please like me back.
Yes, yes. When I come home today to my grandmother's house and in her bedroom, I want for her to be there. And what we would have done, we would have played cards with Alf cards, and we would have had bubble gum and that kind of thing. But in first grade, what do you want? But and when I got home, I really thought she was going to be there. But I realized God is not a magician. It's not for you to do parlor tricks and all kinds of, hey, look, I'm God. Regardless of what you heard in Jesus Christ Superstar the musical. That's what you think of some kind of magician, or you see your parents, ay Dios, ay Dios, ay Dios lo bendiga, God bless you, and then you start going to church, which is another whole experience, right? You go to church, and then you realize, well, these people profess to follow this, but they don't exactly act it out when you're here. So I realized you don't need church to have God in your life. And there was a time where I was like, I don't believe in any of this. I would have debates similar to this one in college on our Friday nights about religion. This guy I used to call the evangelist, and I was fighting the other side. And he was telling me, no, I don't. I always thought he liked men, but he swore he didn't. And then I saw a picture after we graduated, and he was dressed in a dress, but he had that conflict going on. Then I would say I was not religious, but if you ask me today, do I believe in God? Yes. If you ask me what it is that connection that we have inside of us with whatever created everything that puts you where it needs to be put. So when we say what we need to say, when we say it without fear and without hesitation, because I believe it's like Stockton to Malone. He gives you the assist, but you got to dunk it, or the other way around. But you have to be able to discipline yourself. I think it's in discipline. I think it's in silence. I think it's in nature. I think it's in not saying things because it's shocking or cool, but because it's what needs to be said. I think it's in humbling yourself, not necessarily to the world, because the only way you show, I believe, God is by doing your best, putting yourself out there and taking the arrows, the good and the bad, waking up a little earlier, maybe walking a little faster, just showing that, you are his creation or whatever it is. But I'm going to say his because in my mind, God looks like me, not black and tall with a beard, but, gender-wise.
Yeah.
And I could be totally wrong. That's the beauty of this. I could be totally wrong. But when I get up and I'm disciplined, I can do something now. One of the things that I do throughout the day is do push-ups. No matter where I am, I write it down, the number. Because as we wait for things to happen, or you're working towards things to happen, you realize we can always take action and not wait for this. I've spoken to a lot of people about doing interviews just like this, Larry. And a lot of times they'll give you excuses as to why they don't start. One of my things that I've talked about a lot of times, start. Wherever you are, start. Work with what you have. Don't worry about, I need this, I need that. Oh man, I'm looking for this. I'm looking, no, start. Doesn't matter if you don't have things you think you need. There are people who were born with a lot less and they're doing a lot more because they believe they just started to put that foot in front of the other. The relationship with that, do I believe in God? Yes. And when I took God into seeing him everywhere is when I believe, all right, well, I don't have to let everything in. The world could do whatever it wants. But what you do is totally between you and the time that you were allowed on this earth, whatever time that is.
Are you doing anything towards self-improvement?
Yes, the push-ups have been a big change. I gave myself a couple of months ago 1,000 push-up challenge because I thought that's probably the hardest thing I could do in a day, and it took me 8 hours. And I broke them down into sets of 20, and first 40, then 30, then 25. And by the time I finished, I couldn't feel my arms, but I was just at maybe 11 every time because I just couldn't feel anything. But I even did an extra one, and I uploaded it. And of course, what do people say when you're, oh, he didn't go all the way down to the floor? And all you can do is, you know what? That person didn't even do one.
Yeah, 1,000 is a lot, bro.
my thing is art. That's how you show people. If you do believe in God, you want to show people there is a God, let them see your example.
Anything beyond physical improvement? It seems like contemplation and meditation are components of your self improvement, or am I completely wrong about that?
No, you're right. You're right. You're right in that aspect. I try to keep it. I think if you're not careful, you forget how you got this far, and you're able to. If I'm able to, the only reason I do the push-ups is because strong body, strong mind, and that little bit of hope and seeing that your small changes in your body. So all we really need as humans, and that's why they try to distract us from it.
Hmm.
So I have people, why do you wake up so early? Oh, I could never do that. You realize, well, if I don't, then the thing that you don't get done is because you didn't get a good start.
Hmm.
I said best way to determine what kind of day you're gonna have tomorrow is to plan it the day before. So Friday night comes, I have my clothes ready, make a little bit of coffee in the morning. So when I wake up, I like to go. I don't like to be held back by whatever. If you spend the whole, you can start scrolling at 8 and not finish by 10. Then the weekend's here and like, I'm back to work again. But you realize you have a lot of things you can do. I upped the amount of videos that I put out. I look, wow, the last time I updated was that? Like, no, because I was working in photography. So I'm working on balance. If I do too much photography, I like to balance it out with making videos. If I do too much videos, I like to balance it out with playing guitar and playing music. If I do that, then I have to balance it out with writing or reading, which I have to do more of. And during the Renaissance period and period of enlightenment, that's something that every man pretty much, they took it upon themselves to be the most well-rounded person they can be.
Yeah.
Something that we're getting away from. I stopped watching football on Sundays. It's something that was taking up a lot of times. It's something, I don't necessarily pick up every call because it's the only time that we're living that you have to, if someone demands your attention right away, you have to give it, and or else they get upset. But the closer you get to yourself, the closer you get to your body being better, you get closer to this thing that's called God. And it's not an invention. I see it in the small changes. I see it in the big changes. A lot of the videos I made has been against companies that are really not good companies. And I've gone down to the companies and I've spoken about my experience with the companies. And I'm trying to get away from those videos because believe it or not, they get a lot of attention, but it doesn't really put me in a good place. But education is very important to me. Naturally, I like to research things as you do. So I want to make a video. I like to talk about what I learned. And we're living in a time that, especially you've seen the last 2.5 years, that jobs are not certain. So whatever you do as a side hustle, you have to treat it as is your main business in a way. So you might hear from her and she'll be like, "Hey, come to bed. Come to bed. What are you doing?" But when God speaks to you, it might be at 4 a.m. It might be while I'm hanging out with somebody. Why are you leaving this party? No, I can't do it. It's something that for you is optional. For me is an obligation for whatever reason. Maybe because my grandmother came here from Cuba at the age that she did, and I'm the offspring of her and my mother, and the opportunities that they had were a lot less than what I have. And I don't want to let anybody down, but I don't want to let myself down. Also
That
self-improvement. Yeah.
that's something that I've come to appreciate. Just getting up early and working out and just having the rest of your day to do as much as possible. Because again, like I was saying before, when I was drinking, when I was partying, when I just didn't feel comfortable and content. You want to sleep because you don't want to have to wake up and confront the reality of your life as it currently is. But now I'm in a good place. I wake up early. I have my coffee. Like my mom, every time she knows, or I call her or whatever early, and she's like, "Who is this person?"
Calling me so
Like,
early.
right, because I was notorious for sleeping in. Like that was my thing, sleeping. And so it's been a great process to just start getting up early and being healthy and just having the energy to be able to do things, to think, to be present, to engage. So yeah, I think that's a good advice for people to follow. Any big regrets in life so far?
If anything, I would say I had to think about this. I knew you were going to ask this question, so I thought about it. And if I have any, I got no regrets. I'm growing and growing. No, I would say I didn't try to reach out to my father more while he was living. So in a way, there's someone who has your DNA out there in the world, and you just helped make you, but you didn't ever get to spend a lot of time with him. When I had a job at a telephone company, I could look up all the records. That's the first time I found his phone number. He was living in Georgia, Atlanta, and I called him. I asked him for a picture. He said, "Oh, I don't take pictures. I don't have pictures." So, but I do believe that you have an idea of what he could have been going through. and I just didn't know enough about his life. I didn't ask. I mean, I've asked a lot of questions, but because of a lot of things, and I think this is something that probably a lot of men go through when they get divorced. I don't know how it was back then, but they're scared of being put on child support and that ruining their whole life. So child support is something that I know it's necessary. You need to support a family, but sometimes it doesn't do that, and it scares people away. I don't think anybody has a good time going to the hospital or court
Tends
or
to be
living back with your mother after you already moved out because you don't have enough money and your paycheck looks like whatever.
Yeah, it tends
Yeah.
to be, I think, financially really difficult for many people, where it feels punitive. Last three
Yeah.
questions. Oh, were you going to say something?
Oh no, I think if you there's an age difference between my mother and him.
Okay, he was older.
So she was.
Okay,
So he was
okay.
younger. And I'm thinking if I have a son 24 years old, then another one about 25, 26, and he wasn't working, he wasn't,
How old is he?
when he at that time,
Yeah,
when he had my
when
brother, he was older than me. He must have been around 24.
and your mom was how old?
I'm gonna say about 27. But she had just got here from Cuba.
Was your
And
dad Cuban as well, or
no, he was Black American, but his father was born in Curacao.
okay?
And his father comes from a long, he has a big family. He had 18 children, which, for that was a time that was, hear people tell it, oh, he was a ladies' man. Oh, the dumb things that people say when they want to keep a cycle going. So by the time he was born, I don't think he was very, very stable. I think like many of us, we have a lot of questions and we don't have a lot of answers for.
Yeah.
And I see it in kids. I see it in people who join gangs. I see it in grown men. And it always, in a way, think about, right, well, I didn't get that. I see other kids with it, but you look for it in other ways. In a way, you're free in a way that you can look for a father in a book you read, a main character here. You can have many fathers. That's what I look at. I had many fathers, just not the one that had shared my DNA.
Last three questions. My
Mhm.
my three favorites.
You trying to put me out? You trying to put me? You trying?
I'm I'm not.
Helicopter.
This is probably the
I'm good.
longest podcast I've ever done.
You
Maybe
trying to say I talk too much? You trying?
maybe the one with my brother and the one with my really good friend Ty are have been around the same time. What's your favorite book?
I have two. The one that inspired me to travel and open my mind to different things, it usually comes around in a time of early breakup, right? It meant a lot to you.
Mhm.
Paulo Coelho, The Alchemist. He has a lot of great books, but then the Pilgrimage. That's another one that I'm like, I gotta see the world. There's a scene where the protagonist is climbing a waterfall and get everybody in that country's doing it and getting to the top and looking from the bottom. Like, I can't do it.
Give the audience a little bit of what's incredible about those two books.
I've always been a person who liked the lyrics over a dope beat. So the way he creates language and the way that he works with language is in a way that I can understand and it reaches me. And I like that it reaches me. Even the music I listen to, I'm like, wow, that reached me. The way he said that was real to life. If I was directing and making a movie out of this book, I couldn't move past the scene until it was translatable to somebody like this would actually happen in life. In Alchemist, there's a scene where he meets a girl and he thinks, I've never met someone who gets me like this. And he puts all his eggs in this basket and he realizes, wow. Then something changes and starts changing and it's him growing. It's not because the person was bad or anything. It's just him growing and realizing I was just removed from the reality of the world kind of thing. So he's he kind of looks like Billy Joel, but
He does, yeah.
after the '80s, not.
A
But
more calm, peaceful, sort of
yeah, yes,
reflective Billy Joel. Favorite movie?
that's a big question, man. I'm a big movie watcher.
I'm a
Also,
big movie watcher as well. I don't think we've ever had any big discussions around movies, but yeah, love movies.
you give me. Clint Eastwood got me through a lot of things. I'm very partial to a lot of his, not necessarily the ones that everybody like, the good, the bad, and the ugly trilogy, spaghetti westerns. But there's a movie called High Plains Drifter. It talks about courage and it talks about how sometimes you have to be reborn to get your point across.
Mhm.
And people, have you been here before, kind of thing. And so it's a good movie for that. Out of Africa, another great one, especially if you value independence and that relationship between Robert Redford and the main character. And I went to Kenya also. That takes
Okay.
place in Kenya. The relationship where he says, you have no idea what those words mean to me. When she's like, I could never make you mine. Why is your freedom more important than mine? He's like, you don't have no idea what those words do to me. And when he said he's going to leave, and she's like, I won't be here when you get back. I won't have it. I won't allow it, she says. Saw the movies. Saw the other day. Current favorite is Rumblefish with Mickey Rourke. Amazing actor, messed up his face. Black and white, which took place in the 80s, and man, he gave the performance of his life. Legends of the Fall, also another powerful movie, very underrated. If there's a perfect movie, I think it's probably that.
Which one? Say it again, sir.
The Legends of the Fall.
What year?
Perfect time of year to watch it. Perfect time of year to watch it.
And
Brad Pitt should have won an Oscar.
What actors and what year did this come out?
Anthony Hopkins is in it from Silence of the Lambs, and also Brad Pitt. If any movie he should have won an Oscar for, it probably should have been that one.
Legends of the Fall.
Legend of Fall, Unforgiven, Clint Eastwood.
Forgiven. Yeah, I thought you would mention that when you were saying that, Clint Eastwood was really important to you. Yeah, Mickey Rourke in Rumblefish better than Mickey Rourke in The Wrestler?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes, because in The Wrestler, he was making a comeback. You get to see his acting chops in Rumblefish. He's playing with Matt Dillon. And Matt Dillon, you know Matt Dillon?
Yeah.
Well, he plays his brother. And you see Nicolas Cage who's in the movie. The only reason he's in the movie is because his father, directed the movie. Francis Ford Coppola is his dad. But it's Nicolas Cage when it's really Nicolas Coppola. Mickey Rourke knocked it out. His character really spoke to me. Okay. And my favorite of all time, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Says a lot. Yeah. Says a lot about society. Says too much about
70s Hollywood, 70s serious movies. I mean, those hit really hard in terms of just critiques, in terms of just this gritty, dark, like the initial sort of like acceptance of American pessimism, right? Like I like 70s movies a lot. I
5 Easy Pieces with Jack Nicholson too. Love, relationships, doesn't give a damn about how he's being perceived. Excellent movies. He'll say himself that was his favorite movie.
Sometimes I feel like movies, there's a lot to sift through to find the gems and the really good ones, because there's so much garbage too. And so this is good that you mentioned so many good movies, because some of them I haven't watched, and it's because like, well, is it one of the top Francis Ford Coppola movies? I'll probably just try to do the top 3 based on critics and popular opinion, etc. So it's good to hear, what is it called, like the B-sides sometimes, like the less popular ones, and try to reach out and experience those movies.
And Rumblefish also black and white, the whole movie.
Yeah,
even though it was made in '93.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, yeah,
83. Excuse me. Yeah, but of course the action Apocalypto is big.
Shout out to Carly Hightower, previous guest. That was her favorite movie. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh okay.
And then, what's your favorite album?
Ooh, come on. Now you're gonna go from music to movie.
You said you like lyrics over the good beats.
Too many. It's all the lyrical people.
So go ahead. No, but try to tell me those albums that like you really, 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 really love, and that you have a hard time not.
Get out of here. You're not serious, are you? Mr.
I am. But
Blood on the Tracks, Bob Dylan. All right, when he's going through the breakup with his wife, Sarah Lawrence. Every lyric on that, you could tell he was feeling it. He was going through it. And he's a lyrical savant, right? So he put it all into that album. Even his son said, wow, I really got to see what my parents were going through before I was born when they got divorced. Which it's funny because if you hear it now, it's still relatable. So as far as lyrics, Bob Dylan, he's one of the best. Morrissey is very underrated as a person who writes. He was with the Smiths, and I pretty much everything that he has I collect. And not all his songs are going to be hits or great like that, but the way he says things and the way he connects with what it actually means to go through something that is very dear to you or very close is like, wow, I wish I would have written that. And he had a song called I Know It's Over, and man, that's oof. But as far as contemporary music and things like that,
I mean, you don't have to come contemporary. You could stay in whatever era you want. But go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off.
That's cool. If to put you in the mood, just be there, and sometimes you could just ride. You want to go driving at night and just putting this on. Last thing is just you and the wheel and cigarettes after sex. Seen them in concert 3 times, and I mean it's an experience. I don't.
What genre are they? I've never heard of them.
If they would have, they're rock, but if you have to put a genre, it would. And I know they probably would hate this. It'll be like mood rock or something like that. It's a song when you're lying down with someone and it's playing. It's like, is he talking about one person or a lot of people he's gone out with? He has a lyric in a song that called Touch. Talks about somebody leading him on. Just when the song is getting to its top, it just goes off, I think at the 3 minute and 15-second mark, and he starts talking about him being in the shower and realizing the person he's with really doesn't care for him. And he's making believe she's sleeping while he's in the shower trying to come to terms with this is the closest he's ever going to get to this thing called love. And it's like a movie, it's like a Ingmar Bergman movie film, put to music. And that's what I see. And even when I see a lot of the video recreations they do with it, they use a lot of clips from his movies in it because you're watching it in color, person perform, but you can only hear it in black and white.
Do you have any Spotify playlists?
I actually have never made a Spotify playlist.
Or
I
do
still
you have
download
any
music.
like online? Do you have any like online playlists that you have? Like I have this really good friend too. His name is David, and had always had this conversation about getting me into quote unquote white music because I don't. I know. No, I'm being serious. I only know Latin music.
You listen to that corny right? What?
No. Like I know Colombian vallenato music. I know salsa, and then I know like the popular things when I was growing up, like
Cumbia.
a little bit of that too. Yeah, but so I know that. I know hip hop and R&B, like that '90s popular
New Jack
artist,
Swing,
and even like underground. But you know, there's only so much in a genre, and so me and him would always have these conversations about like, yo, there are so many classics and great music, but because I didn't grow up around, you know, white people and you know my parents English, and then as I grew up, you're exposed to hip hop, you know, being in New York, being in Queens, whatever. So he was supposed to be creating this playlist for me, and I moved back to Philly. He was in the Bay Area, and so it never happened. So that's why I asked you if you have a playlist, so I can
my
be
playlist. I can
exposed
show
to
you
the beauty of non-hip hop and non-Latin music.
Sir, I have a playlist on my iPod Classic. I still have one of those. And I have about
I got a Zune.
Okay, and Zune, right?
So go ahead, sorry.
But I have about 10 different albums. I'm 10 different genres. I have rock, 60s, 70s, 50s, Spanish, up music for the gym, mood music, all lyrical, black, and then black. Black is more the hip hop. Black is R&B. One of the hobbies I have is just filling each one of them up because Spanish, I don't think anybody, as far as emotive and lyrics, Luis Iglesias. Again, you asked me once, I could tell you grew up like with older people or your mother playing it in the background. As a kid, I didn't get it. I didn't like it. As an adult, I'm like, oh my God.
Rocío Dúrcal, Isabel Pantoja, those artists. I mean, yeah, it's beautiful.
And the way we consume music too now, right? It's not like it was, now the biggest selling Latin artist is Bad Bunny, which doesn't make sense because the way that people buy music now is a lot different. You go by views, you go by plays on Spotify, and
so to wrap up, tell me one last album that you need to mention as one of your all-time favorites, because I feel like you had a lot more left.
Bone Thugs and Harmony. Bone Thugs and Harmony, East 1999. I don't think there's a bad track on that album. And too bad Easy didn't get to see it come out because he died too soon. That was all high school, all college for me.
Yeah, that's a great album.
Where are they
from? Yeah,
Cleveland.
Yeah, Cleveland, Ohio.
East 99, Cleveland.
So that's the one that you want to wrap up with, that album.
The one that I forgot to mention because that's that's what got you through a lot of riding the subway. Yeah. Being able to get through school. And that's they introduced a genre of rap that now is beginning or has already began to take shape, but they were doing it back then. So it was bone, roughness, thugs, more roughness, and harmony. They were singing with the. See, when I went to Woodstock in '99. I realized I missed a lot of music. And just like you, there's a lot of music I didn't get to experience live. But I could imagine trying to see Ted Nugent in his prime because he still looked like he was in his prime when I saw him, I think it was last year. He came to Philadelphia. And he's recorded as one of the loudest concerts in recorded history by decibels. And when he gets behind the guitar, it doesn't matter what he's saying politically. He just knows how to rock a stadium, and he's just born to be wild. And he can play in his sleep. Jimi Hendrix. I mean, it's too many, man. It's too many. Come on, put me in a spot here.
It's been great talking to you. Long but nourishing conversation. Appreciate you. I will see you on Tuesday. And look forward to our conversations at work. Peace.
Have a